I'll come back in on my shoulder here in a couple.
Saturday.
Palestine.
Oh, yeah, I did see the notice. Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, they have their own, and then
Oh,
come
yeah.
here.
Okay, beat 'em, man. Upset, right?
Robert.
I guess.
Softball
Yeah.
has 5 turnovers.
Yeah, but they were also.
Huh?
I was looking to see if there was something before.
Alrighty, welcome everybody, to the Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024 Public Services Committee. Roll call, please.
Alderman Sherry Pickering.
Here.
Eve Ludwig.
Present.
Tricia Teague.
Present.
Robert Williams.
Present.
Darren York.
Here.
John Cooper.
Here.
Chairman Rick Streebing.
Here.
7 present.
Madam President, thank you. What's this number, item number 2, approval of the minutes for 9/24/24. I'll need a motion and a second to accept those minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on the minutes? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 3, we had approval of the agenda. I'll need a motion and a second to approve the agenda in front of you this evening.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against? The ayes have it. Puts us item number 4, audience comments.
Did anyone wish to speak this evening? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Puts us chairman's comments, don't have anything to say. Approval of the payrolls for 10/18/24. Make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on the payrolls? If not, roll call, please.
Vice Chairman Pickering.
Yes.
Alderman Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
7 yes.
Yes, thank you. Puts us to item number 7, approval of vouchers payable for 10/22/24 and a special run of 10/21/24. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on the vouchers payables? Yes.
I have one question. At the bottom of page 3 of the vouchers payable, there's a transaction for Keller Williams Realty for property acquisition assistance. So my question is, what property were we acquiring and what required assistance from a realtor?
Yeah, I can answer that.
Okay.
City staff have been utilizing this brokerage real estate agency for the Madison neighborhood acquisition project. So I don't know exactly which one it was for.
Okay.
But
It's for that
it was
project.
one of them in that general area. Yeah.
And I know when we were acquiring, I'm assuming, because I don't recall seeing this previously, when we were acquiring like all of the properties around Garfield Park, we did that ourselves, or did we use an agency then?
Garfield Park, that was done in-house with city staff. After that, we made the evaluation that it was money well spent to hire it out to assist us in the negotiating and closing procedures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on vouchers payables? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Ludwig.
Yes.
Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
7 yes.
Yes, thank you. What's this city clerk's report, Lisa Munson? She has 8A, ordinance enacting and adopting a supplemental S61 to the code of ordinances. I make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 8A's ordinance? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman Teague.
Yes.
Williams.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Cooper.
Yes.
Pickering.
Yes.
Ludwig.
Yes.
Streebing.
Yes.
7 yes.
7 yes. Puts us at 8B. Ms. Munson, items of information.
I don't have anything to share this evening.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Munson? All right, thank you. Puts us number 9, Community Relations. Renee, Brianna Oath, Administrator. 9A's items of information.
Hi everyone. I really don't have too much to update you on other than the city clerks are going to be featured in the November edition of the Inside Vermilion County. So make sure if you get copies of that to check that out. It features kind of a little bit about what their job is and what they're thankful for with the city. So it's super interesting. And then November 1st is Butterfest. So make sure you come out. Food trucks, and we have Potter themed trivia that will be at Temple Plaza and a bunch of different activities. So come out and join us.
Anybody have any questions for her? Thank you very much. Puts us to finance. This is Sweeten Controller, items of information, then we'll go right into the 2024 cash flow and budget performance report, risk management monthly report, personnel monthly report, and 2025 insurance renewal by Miss Kathy Corson. So,
For items of information, I will have the budget and the tax levy for presentation at the next council meeting.
Oh.
So I've been doing my best. We'll hope I have met your needs well. And as far as the reporting, the cash flow report, you'll see that a lot of the September revenues weren't recognized, and we were having a system issue with the accounting system and getting those recognized in the right month. So hopefully that'll catch up next month.
anybody have any questions for her? Yes.
So I have some questions just about this report, and it's really mainly just so that I understand things.
Okay.
So my first question is, as I was looking at revenue, I was wondering where property tax revenues go, and I'm assuming maybe they're not in general fund, or I was just looking at the different line items under revenue under the cash flow projection report, and I didn't see anything that looked like property taxes.
They get split out over the different funds. I don't
Okay.
believe much of it goes to general fund. I think it goes to the other areas.
Okay.
I can give you the breakdown of that though.
Okay.
Is that to you?
Okay, and then as I was looking at the numbers and looking at the variances, I want to make sure I understand the numbers correctly. So on the total revenues, it has negative 512,000. So does that mean we're currently $500,000 under where we expect it to be at this point in the year?
For the end of the year. So
For
with
the end of the year.
projections with what we have right now with projected or budgeted revenues and estimated expenses between now and the end of the year, we would be negative.
Okay. And then our expenses then would be 2.8 million over. Is that right? Or 2.8 million under?
Under budget.
So 2.8 million under budget for expenses, and then $500,000 under for revenues. Okay, correct. And then under the budget performance report, just on each line item, there's this prior year total. That is for the entire year, right?
Correct.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, the reason you don't see the property tax listed here is because all of those funds go to both the police and fire pension payments and the library.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody have any more questions for Ms. Sweeney? Thank you. Okay, Ms. Corson.
Okay, good evening. My risk management report should be in your packet. Not a lot of different changes or anything exciting going on there that's new. But I did want to let you know that just recently I recertified 14 City Hall employees with CPR and AED so that way we remain in compliance with the state statute. Since we have an AED, because we're a public building open to the public, then we have to have employees who are able to actually use the AED and provide CPR. So that is one of the things that I made sure that, you know, we stay compliant with that. So we just recertified 14. We are looking at doing open enrollment. That's just around the corner. What we're anticipating is a time frame of where the employees can then opt to choose which insurances they want to go to for 2025 between November 11th through November 22nd. Problem is, I don't have any numbers yet. We're still working with and negotiating with the insurance companies. Unfortunately, I'd like to say, you know, no news is good news, but it's not. So right now, the projected numbers that we have from Blue Cross Blue Shield is a 36.6 renewal increase from last year. But right now, our claims usage is 120% over what we paid in premiums. So that, unfortunately, is one of those reasons that the renewal is so high. They have looked at other places. Health Alliance was a 38%. United Health was a 35%. So we are working with Blue Cross and trying to negotiate a lower amount for that. So hopefully tomorrow we'll have some numbers, and that's kind of, we've got a meeting scheduled for that. But unfortunately, you know, insurances anticipated this COVID wave right after COVID ended, but I think actually what we're seeing now is that COVID wave of how those so many years where people didn't do their preventatives, weren't able to go to the doctors as often and get those diagnostic testings that they needed. And so now we're seeing quite an uptick in things such as cancer diagnoses as of late. So that's one of the reasons for that high usage that we have. We do have the work comp and liability. We've got it's not complete yet, it's not 100%, but we will have it for the city council meeting in November. But right now, it's about an 8% increase up from last year for our work comp and liability. And a lot of that is stemming from, we've got a lot of different buildings that we have added new to our liability insurance. And so because of that, the cost to rebuild those is going up. So just kind of like your homeowner's insurance that keeps going up, unfortunately, that's kind of one of those things that's falling into that as well.
Well, thank you. Anybody got any questions for Ms. Corson? Thank you. Hope we got good news coming.
I hope so too.
What's this item number 11? Fire, Aaron Marcotte, Fire Chief. We have 4 resolutions. I'd like to take them all together. 11, if that's okay with you guys. Nobody has any problem with taking all of them? Okay. 11A, resolution approving application to FEMA 2024 brick building resilient infrastructure and community grant. 11B is a resolution approving application to North Fork and Southern Community Grant. 11C is a resolution approving application to Viora Leadership Development Foundation for Community Service Grant. And 11D is a resolution approving the application to Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, DCEO, for renovations to the firefighting training tower. Is there any questions on any of these? Yes.
I have a question on 11D.
11D?
Excuse me, did we get a second, Chairman?
Oh, I need a second, I guess. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
My question on 11D, because I understand that it's the renovations of the tower, but I also know that we're planning to obviously look at new stations. So what is the plan here as it relates to this? Is it renovating our existing tower and then we will continue to use it moving forward, even though we plan to build new stations, or just trying to understand the overall plan?
Yeah, this is actually money that was gotten at the same time that the police got their grant from before. They just now released it to Kaylee. Basically, the indication is that she can essentially make application for this money when we're ready for it, and it could be either used for design or actual construction. So
Okay.
if we get to that phase, it can be used in either one of those.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be used for renovation of our existing
Correct.
tower?
No. Yeah, they've allowed us to do it for new construction or.
Okay. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, thankfully Senator Faraci's office was incredible in helping us with this and making that adjustment so that we're not spending good money after bad.
Is there any other questions on any of the 4 resolutions? If not, roll call please on 11A, B, C, and D.
Alderman Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
7 yes.
Yes, thank you. Puts us to items of information and the chief's monthly status report. Chief?
I don't know if most people saw it today. We did put out a burn ban today, and then it rained, of course. The 2 times I put out a burn ban, it's rained later that day, so it might be a thing we need to do more often. But we're still gonna keep the burn ban in place because it probably wasn't significant enough to effect until the winds get through, whatever. So, for the first time since I think I've been here, we are sitting at full staffing. We have a graduate that'll graduate this Friday, so she's got a couple more weeks of classes, and then everybody should be working and on duty for the first time. So. I said all our lists are current, and we've got, again, for the first time, I think, all the officers are in place. So that's been a little over a 2-year process. So that's good thing going on. We pump tested our fire engines this year, just these last few days. They all passed. They had a couple minor repairs on a few of them, but they've all passed their annual pump test. And then we received our ISO score. So we still remain a class 3 ISO rating, but we did improve by about 3 points, a little short of that. So we have a range with ISO. They're actually going to come in January and do a class with us now, see how we can improve. So if you get into this like ISO, it's kind of complicated because it's insurance, so there's all kinds of formulas and different things. So a point isn't necessarily a true point. It's weighted and figured and stuff. So they're going to come and kind of go through with us on how we can improve in the future a little bit better. So areas we had the most improvement in was the officer driver programs and the new recruit programs. We scored really high on those areas. Where we're weak is the tower. We got 0 out of 18 points for not having a training tower and facilities training. So again, if we make that change, then that'll hopefully improve that category. And we're really, kind of close in that regard to a class 2, which would be good for the community. So I wish I could tell you exactly how good that would be for the community, but it's the same thing. It's insurance, so it's very complicated. And different insurances use different factors and different weightings and things. So, so some of the other areas we noticed was a little weak in pre-planning, which is for us that we know we're aware of. It's just kind of been a software thing. We're literally are still doing it by hand, and the software we currently use doesn't really transfer it well. So we are looking at software alternatives that would do. So when you go out and do an inspection, you can actually do the pre-plan and upload it, and it would merge the information versus having it in different places and different times. So that's another area that should be easy for us to improve. Yeah, so I guess I got any questions on that or something. So.
Yes.
Do you receive more specifics from them regarding how you can improve the earned credit scores?
We got a kind of report, but it's not, I would say it's much better. I've read it and it's still sort of a little confusing. So that's hopefully the idea of this training session, which again, we'll probably open up to if anybody wants to come and hear it or whatever. So it's kind of generically, like when you look at manpower, like fire apparatus, I'm not really sure why we got almost all the credit for an aerial ladder, but we were short 0.2 of a point. So it doesn't really, I don't really know why we just didn't get full credit or whatever. So,
so they don't really give you a breakdown?
Not really, no.
Okay.
So if you go back, I would look back at the 2017 report and then look at the new one. It's not. It's hard for me to decipher why they changed or why they moved or whatever. But
so you wouldn't really necessarily know how to improve on that
no,
score?
not until we talk to them. I guess, yeah. Which they've offered, and we've already got some dates set up and things like that to try and get them down here. So
okay, thank you.
Yes.
Is this, so I noticed the prior report is 2017, so is this something that's done like once every 7 years, or like what's the frequency normally?
Yeah, I think they shoot for every 5 years, but I think it's usually a little draggy. It's actually better than it used to be. It used to be closer to 10 years. So, and also if we make these changes, so if we were to build a tower, we can actually call them and get an amendment to that type thing too. So I'm actually going to call them about another thing when he comes down, because we did do that study, and that study was kind of about response times and things. So I think that should have qualified probably for some of that credit. So as we do those kind of significant things, they'll change it if they'll put it under review, I guess is the best way to look at it.
Okay. And then my other question is, do you know if they have average scores, because, it's one thing to say, well, you're shooting for 100, but if 100 is actually unattainable, right? If most people are getting an 80, then it'd be good to see like where we compare to what's normal.
Okay, yeah. I know what I have seen is they sent us a link to a website I can look at.
Okay.
And trying to get some of that data. They did show us like where we compare to most fire departments in the country. So which is kind of what you're kind of measuring how big your fire department is to everybody else. And they, out of whatever 40,000 fire departments, you're in the top whatever percent or whatever.
Okay.
That's probably as close as I can get.
Okay,
Like
that would be good information to pass on. Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief?
I just want to say thank you too for everybody that came to Memorial and everything last weekend. So
Well, the food was good, thanks. All right, thank you, chief. Puts us to item number 12, Human Relations, Sandra Finch, Administrator, her items of information, and her monthly status report. Ms. Finch?
All right, good evening, everyone. For the period of September 17th through October 21st, the office handled 18 complaints, which consisted of 3 employment complaints, 3 complaints against city employees, 8 housing complaints. For the old complaints that are still open, we have 3 police complaints. Well, we did close 1. 1 employment complaint, which is closed, for a total of 18 complaints. You have any questions regarding the complaints? Okay, I want to announce that the MLK Scholarship Information is going to be sent out this week. The deadline is going to be for them to submit the scholarship application. It's going to be December 6th. And I'm happy to announce that the committee has decided to increase the scholarship to $6,000.
Oh, my goodness.
So hopefully we'll get more applications this year. Also want to report that we've already started planning for the MLK celebration for 2025, and it's going to be held on that Monday, January 20th at 11:30. You have any questions?
Anybody got any questions for Ms. Finch?
I've got it.
Yes. John?
Not a question, it's more or less a concern I have, and Sandy knows about it. I had a tenant come up to me, about a month ago. She registered a complaint against the landlord. Ended up landlord filed eviction papers on her. Pretty much a total retaliation. I think Sandy and I both agree on it. A couple months ago, we passed an ordinance that prevented evictions or some type of payment to the tenant to avoid all this. She's just screwed, more or less. And then I find out the ordinance we passed isn't worth anything. So can somebody explain that?
We're in the process now of reviewing that ordinance and making some modifications to it. I think the council passed it sometime in February of this year,
Yes, it was in February, yes,
and it went into effect in May.
May 1st.
And there's some issues with it that we're working on, and we'll be meeting on, I believe, November 6th to address some of that. Well, the legal department's been working on this for the past month, and we're actually scheduled to meet again tomorrow morning to finish up any necessary modifications.
And I just want to add to that is that when we started planning the landlord-tenant informational meeting, Alderman or Alderwoman Pickering, Alderwoman Teague, and I noticed that there were some issues to the housing ordinance, and that's why we decided to hold off on the meeting until we get everything in order and let the legal department make the modifications that need to be made.
Yes.
From my understanding from the conversations that we've had thus far, that particular portion of the ordinance has not been, in any prior meetings that we had about it, has not been questioned. The parts of the ordinance that were in question were about inspections, because the inspections, and it was the routine, regular inspections of rental properties. That was the part that we have been having.
It was also the retaliation. We felt like it needed more teeth in the ordinance.
I agree that it needs more teeth, but it does have some teeth already, because one of the things that it says is that if the tenant files a complaint and then the landlord evicts the tenant as a result of the complaint, and we consider it retaliation, then the landlord is financially liable to paying for the tenant's move. And it is spelled out, and I think a dollar amount is also spelled out. And we've not had any discussion about that part unless there was some other discussion where I wasn't in the room.
Correct, I feel the same way.
So that part of the ordinance should not be under question. What we were questioning in terms of detail, where I felt, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was the process for when and it's not a tenant complaint, because a tenant complaint process is also, I think, fairly clear in terms of inspections after a tenant complaint. Where there were significant questions were around the routine inspections of all rental properties, because it was a matter of, do we have legal standing to actually go into the properties based on the rental registration paperwork that was, if you look at the timeline of what happens citywide, the rental registrations occurred in January or February, if I'm not mistaken, and the ordinance was passed in March. Therefore, the paperwork technically does not say, yes, by signing this, I agree that my property should be inspected. That was the major significant question where we spent a significant amount of time. We did not spend any time on the particular type of thing that you're talking about. In my mind, and maybe there's some other legal concern because I'm not a lawyer, but in my mind, that part is clear and has more teeth than it ever had before.
Well, that part I don't really have a problem with, but I thought we passed where we had protection toward the tenant.
That's what I'm
already
talking
telling-
about.
Well, apparently it's not any good.
That's news. And what I'm saying is that's news to, in the conversations that we had about the concerns about the ordinance, that part was not the part that we were talking about where there were concerns. So that's what I'm saying. If there's concerns about enforcing the retaliation part, that's news to me. And I believe that's, and because Alderwoman Pickering is nodding her head yes too, that's news to her too.
Well, I'm not saying it's news or anything. This did happen, and
Well, I do believe we did talk about it in terms of the steps. There is a retaliation part in the ordinance. We did talk about it, but we didn't really focus on it like we should. But there are steps that need to be taken to get us to the retaliation part for the legal part to handle it. But when I reviewed it, and I did make our legal department aware of this possible violation, I didn't get a response, and I also talked to the mayor about it. We also agreed that we do need more teeth in the retaliation part of the ordinance because it is really vague. And having to look at it and read it, there has to be a process to go into the retaliation part against the landlord. That's just my opinion.
A process meaning municipal court or something else?
Yes. And remember, we did talk about that in the meeting about where does it go. Do you remember us talking about that?
Not specifically the retaliation part. In terms of where does it go, yes, I do recall that, but it wasn't specifically relating to the retaliation part. It was more so relating to whether or not a landlord could say, yes or no, you can't come inspect my property. And then if they say no, then what happens? And then that would go to municipal court. Correct.
Well, that was part of it, but we also from what I remember, we didn't elaborate on it, but we did talk about the process for the retaliation, but we didn't elaborate. But once I got a complaint and there was a possible retaliation, when I reviewed the ordinance, it did not have a clear process to take it to legal and legal take it to wherever it needed to take it to.
So Alderman Cooper and Vice Mayor, so the problem is we don't have our ordinance doesn't clearly define how you establish that there was retaliation. So in order to, so that's why Council Parker and the team have been working through this to make sure that we have the proper steps so that we can make sure that we enforce it, and then we don't put the city at any liability by enforcing it on the landlords.
And just to be clear, we are reviewing the entire ordinance. The retaliation issue, we do need to make some changes to that. It is an issue that we're going to be making some changes to, along with some others.
And our goal, Alderman, is to, we've got a next meeting next week, is to have, or 2 weeks, is to have all of this ready so that we can have it rolled out when we send out registrations for this year. So that way, the landlords know fully what's expected and required of them, and the tenants will be able to know because we'll have a tenant meeting, and it's clear. That way we can make sure that we protect our people.
I more or less just wanted to bring it up because this just happened she got evicted, last Friday or Friday before, and then I thought we had something to protect her, and I think Sandy did too, and we don't. But I think that needs to be in there because if a tenant does report a landlord, and I think there's a lot of landlords out here that probably has property that needs to be attended to. And if a tenant's making us aware of that, we need to give him some type of protection. And I seriously, I thought we had it, and we don't. And I pretty much felt sorry for this girl, lady, because I was all in on her corner, and I think Sandy was too. And here we ended up where probably the final week, we didn't have any resource to help her at all. And I thought that was wrong.
I would agree with that. I guess one of my questions is, because I don't remember what was in the prior ordinance. In the prior ordinance, is there any allowances for us to do anything as relates to retaliation?
It did mention about if a tenant files a code enforcement complaint, and after that, and then they found code enforcement issues. Basically, can the landlord retaliate against the tenant for filing a code enforcement complaint? That is in the ordinance, and that if, for instance, in this situation, after the code enforcement issues were taken care of, the tenant, based on my opinion, was charged for the code enforcement repairs. So this is after the tenant filed a complaint, the code enforcement, the inspectors went out, did the inspection, found code enforcement issues, made the landlord aware of the issues, that landlord took care of it. After he took care of it, in my opinion, then he charged all these fees to the tenant. So, and then after that, when the tenant did not pay for these fees, which was a large amount, he decided to use that as a reason to evict her.
And just an FYI, you know, this was a yearly lease. This wasn't a month-to-month. I mean, the month-to-month is the one that everybody's sort of getting screwed on. This was a yearly lease where this landlord applied all that, what Sandy just said, to her, and she ended up being evicted.
So then, under our prior ordinance, what would be the
retaliation?
The remediation. Or recourse
Well, I think
for
it
the
was
situation.
landlord was going to help pay or for the moving or moving.
Yes. If the person,
for clarification, you mean before we made the change?
Before the change. That's what I was kind of wondering. Before the change, I don't know what. All I am aware is the ordinance we have right now.
There wasn't. I don't believe there were retaliatory provisions in there, and that's why we added it so that we could better protect our people.
Okay.
There's also another issue that I dealt with last week in reference to a tenant where the landlord was, because of an exterior inspection, the landlord received a letter from the inspection department to take care of these repairs. And the landlord did not make the tenant aware of the issues. And I believe, based on our ordinance, our inspectors, I think because it's kind of vague about what the inspectors are supposed to do, if the tenant files the complaint, the tenant is also supposed to get a letter from the inspector about the violations. But in this situation, the tenant did not file a complaint. So when the landlord got the letter to make the repairs, he did not make the tenant aware of the violations. So again, because if the tenant had been aware of the violations when the letter went out to the landlord, it should have gone out to the tenant, but he didn't. So the landlord took care of the repairs, and in this situation, again,
he
turned around and charged the tenant.
Is this the one that I referred to you?
Yes.
Okay.
So that's another issue that needs to be addressed in the ordinance.
Well, not everything's going to be addressed in the ordinance. There are situations where there's civil matters that tenants may need to take up on their own. The city can't force and mandate every situation. I'm not sure what situation the two of you are talking about, but there are going to be situations that the lease is going to dictate what happens, and we can't force parties to do something that the lease spells out what they're supposed to do.
But if it's a situation that occurs as a result of enforcing our code, I would expect that we should be able to spell out what should happen, that if it's our code and the landlord owns the property and then the landlord
There's a tenant at the house.
Right, and the landlord is, I think that we should be able to spell that out, I guess is what I'm trying to say, especially because it's a code enforcement issue. It'd be different if it was just a dispute between the landlord and tenant that doesn't have anything to do with code enforcement. But this is a code enforcement problem. And it was a situation that was created because we brought up that there were code violations.
Yes, and I think it can be easily addressed by sending a letter. If you don't know the tenant, just send a letter to that
the
address. That it can be addressed that way.
And I know in this particular situation, because it was one that I referred, you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars.
Well, it was, I don't know the exact amount, but yes.
I think that's what he told me.
Yes, it was a large amount, another large amount, yes. And the landlord, again, is proposing eviction.
So we passed that ordinance. I mean, what does that ordinance stand for then? I mean, what's the purpose of that ordinance?
Parts of it are excellent and still really good and enforceable, but these we have to improve so we can get it where we want it to be.
And you said this is gonna have to take how long?
I'm sorry?
How long is this gonna take?
We're currently working on it, and we should have the proposed changes for the mayor's consideration to present to the council shortly, within the next 14 to 30 days.
Okay, because I know, I think we were a little bit late last year on getting everything out to the landlord, so let's hopefully we can get it taken care of by then, so. All right, any other questions for Ms. Finch? Thank you.
Thank you.
Information Technology, Agnell Da Silva, Chief Technology Officer, his items of information, his monthly report. I don't think he's here this evening, so if you guys got any questions on any of that? All right. Puts us to 14, legal, Leon Parker, Corporate Counsel, his items of information, his monthly report.
Yes, before you have the figures for the prior month for your consideration.
Anybody have any questions on anything from legal? Monthly report? All right. Thank you, Corporate Counsel. I guess we don't have anything for you.
All right.
What's item 15? Police, Chris Yates, Police Chief, has two resolutions. 15A, have a resolution authorizing the purchase of a police department vehicle and disposal of an unused vehicle. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 15A? If not, roll call, please.
Alderman York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
7 yes.
Yes, thank you. Puts us to 15B. Have a resolution authorizing the purchase of surveillance cameras. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 15B's resolutions? Not roll call, please.
Alderman Cooper,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
7 yes.
Yes, thank you. Puts us to 15C. Items of information in C1 is September 2024 year-to-date offense data report. Chief?
Assume that you may have gone through these. Did anybody have any questions on what they saw? It's a little different format that we're putting out there. Looked in a little bit more at victim data also on page 3. Looking at the last 3 years, not necessarily any significant changes from 23. We're seeing increases in non-detainable offenses, status quo on the detainable or near. Also put in a little bit of additional, what the volume of or percentage of a day, a 24-hour period, that it's not really time, it's just cases. We're between domestics and criminal damage, that's half of reporting. those two offenses, and even though we list the 12 to 13, there's several more. Those are the most relevant to quality of life. Does anybody have any questions on any of that?
Any questions for the chief?
Any other businesses, background investigations started on new applicants? We have one at PTI, 3 in field training. We met with Illinois Training Board investigator, in charge of our region. Said he was pleasantly surprised when he looked at our records that we're in full compliance with state mandates. Went out to the training center. He was impressed with that. He said this is sort of the model of how they like to see police departments as far as their proactive training and efforts into training. I think that's a direct reflection of our training manager, Phil Wilson, and his staff, Taylor Corson, that works in that office, making sure that our training is up to date. Not just up to date, but what officers need in the roles that they play on the department. We have a lot of additional training that our command staff are going through that we've never had before. And also specialized training for officers that are in specialized positions. We've really put a lot of emphasis on that. And I think not only on the short term, but long term, we'll see the fruits of that. That's all I have, unless anybody's got any questions.
Anybody have any questions for the chief? Thank you, chief.
Chief Boobash.
Oh, yeah. We are having a Halloween celebration at Friendly Town, the 26th, from 5 to 7 p.m. As long as the weather holds out, we have hay rides. We have probably 22 to 30 booths set up, including the houses, and everybody that volunteered on the restoration. Most of them are coming back to do the Halloween, and those that aren't are being replaced with new groups that are coming in, which there's quite a few. More community stakeholders get involved, but we'll have that. And also there's the OSF partnership on Friday is going to be celebrated at 10 a.m. out of Friendly Town.
Have the dedication of the new hospital that Mr. Snyder donated.
What was the time again for the?
10 a.m. That will be on site.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the Halloween is going to be the Saturday, what is that, 26th, from 5 to 7 p.m.
5 to 7, okay, thank you.
It may last a little longer than that. I find it hard to believe it'll only last 2 hours with all the people out there, but we'll go until everybody's done having fun.
Did you want to announce the trick or treat hours? Trick or treat hours?
Oh, I'm sorry. 5 to 8 on Halloween, 31st, again.
Trick or treat hours. Trick or treating
That's
hours.
for trick or treating throughout the city. Anything else? I was going for record time.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
What's this, the 16, Public Works? Dave Rui, the director's here. We've got some resolutions. I'd like to take 16A, B, C, D, and E together if nobody has any problems with that. I think the mayor had stated to me this is cleanup from many, many years ago. They're small projects that need to be completed and finished on all these. Isn't that right, Mayor?
The paperwork. for it,
Paperwork.
Yes.
So if nobody has any complaints, questions?
Chairman, did you make the motion?
Oh.
Is there a second?
Yeah, there's a second to put A, B, C, D, and E together.
Second.
Okay, now is there any questions?
Yeah, what is the paperwork? I mean, it looks like all of them's shuffling money around, clearing up stuff. And
So all this money's already been spent and it's all done in MFT, but as they're going through records, they're finding that, so this is how it's been explained to me, every dollar that gets spent out of MFT has to be approved to be spent by our council. And on these 5 items, they went over on the originally approved project amount. So they've already been paid, all's good, but we need to have record that our council voted to approve said spending. So that's what this is just cleaning up the back end of those things as they're going through all of the records to get accounts reconciled.
Just as a reminder, right now, the state of Illinois IDOT is doing an audit of all of our spending, and some of these things go back to the 90s. So when I was still in high school.
So, I mean, these being approved twice, or they weren't approved once, or what?
So the original amount was approved, but the project amount went over what was approved. So these are just the overages, basically. Is that correct?
Yes, and also to close the projects out. These are actually projects that never were officially closed out as we were getting audited. District 5 found these discrepancies. That's the reason why we're bringing it with these resolutions to you now.
But they've all been paid, and
Yes.
we're just doing paperwork saying it has been.
Yes.
That's weird, okay.
It's dotting the i's, crossing the t's.
Yeah.
Alderman, there will probably be more yet. We're still undergoing it, so.
Yes.
So we've not had an IDOT audit since the 90s?
We had an audit in 2012, and Director Roy and I were told by Brian Trigg, who we're dealing with down there in District 5, that the person that did the audit wasn't reliable at the time.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, then, roll call on item 16A, B, C, D, and E resolutions.
Vice Chairman Pickering,
Yes.
Alderman Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
7 yes.
Yes, thank you. Puts us to 16F. We have a resolution approving the purchase, installation, and replacement light poles. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for your approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 16F's resolution?
Apparently, this is not an insurable loss.
No, it is insurable. We're just sending it through because it's over the 20,000. So that's due to the amount of time it takes those light poles to come in. It's an emergency repair that we order the light poles immediately, and they're made to order apparently. So it sounds like they're like 6 months out. So we're passing this to get the ball rolling to get those on the way as quick as we can.
And we should recoup the money, is that what
Yep.
you're saying? Okay.
Yep. So once they come in, we will seek reimbursement through insurance. So.
Any other questions? Not roll call, please.
Alderman Ludwig,
Yes.
Teague,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
7 yes.
Yes, thank you. Puts us 16G, a resolution, budget amendment, amending resolution 2024-123, purchase of a 2024 automated refuse truck. Make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 16G's resolution? Not roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Teague,
Yes.
Alderman Williams,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Cooper,
Yes.
Pickering,
Yes.
Ludwig,
Yes.
Streebing,
Yes.
7 yes.
Puts us 16H. We have a resolution budget amendment, amending resolution 2023-160, purchase of Parks dump truck. Make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 16H resolution? Yes.
Truck buying day's about over.
Well, this is, I'll be honest with you, this was 100% my fault here. So we put the order in for the truck when it got approved. So this is already approved purchase. We already have the truck. Basically what happened was I forgot to put a PO in for the truck when we ordered it, and they never brought it up. So then when the truck came in, I went to pay it and realized there wasn't a PO. I put the PO in. It just so happened to come in on the second day of May when I put the PO in, which is the day after the new budget went through. So this resolution is basically taking the money from last year's budget as it was originally intended and passed. So it's just cleaning it up.
Any other questions on 16H?
So comparing to the previous dump truck, this is a much different dump truck.
Yeah, so this Parks dump truck it's kind of the Suzuki looking front nose truck.
Okay. Much smaller.
With a dump bed on it, much smaller.
Not, okay, and it's not automated and all that.
Yeah.
I'm just interested in the drastic price
difference. One of them was a garbage truck. This is just it's got a flatbed with a dump truck, like a landscape. It's like a landscape
Gotcha.
truck.
Okay.
No other questions? Roll call, please.
Alderman Williams?
Yes.
York?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Pickering?
Yes.
Ludwig?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Streebing?
Yes.
7 yes.
Yes. Puts us to 16I. We have a resolution authorizing the grant application to US EPA for the Brownfield Community-Wide Assessment Grant and partner with IEPA for Brownfield Grant application. I'll make the motion to approve and dispense with the reading and ask for approval. I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Is there any questions on 16I's resolution?
Sure, I got one. How many properties need to be inspected, or do you have a list of that?
So yeah, if approved, the prior Brownfield grant in 2017, they did, once they were awarded the grant, they made a complete inventory of sites that may or may not be contaminated. I don't know how many are out there. That typically doesn't come up until the grant is awarded, and a consultant will assist in that. They're more of spur of the moment. With my experience in the last 5.5 years on these, it's a developer comes into town, there's contamination at site, like the Carl project. They came in, they highlighted 2 contaminated sites, and the city assisted Carl in the remediation through the Brownfield Assessment Grant. I want to note on this something really cool, in my opinion. This is a 2-part resolution. One is requesting for the city of Danville to apply again to the US EPA for the Brownfield Assessment Grant. Hopefully, cross our fingers, the state of Illinois gets included this year in an award. That's up to $500,000 for the city of Danville alone. The second piece of this, IEPA is going to be submitting their own application to the EPA for Brownfield Assessment Grants as a partnership coalition grant application. The city of Danville and one other community in the state of Illinois has been requested by the state of Illinois to join them in an application, which I think is really, really cool. The applicant just so happened to come down and work on the Vermilion and Fairchild site, who is employed by IEPA. He really enjoyed working with us, and he gave me a call and asked if we'd like to join. I said yes, as long as it doesn't impact our $500,000 application.
Any other questions? Yeah.
How much is the one that they're applying for?
Yeah, that's $2 million. A lot of the rules are still going to be fuzzy. I've never been a part of a coalition grant award before. They will be able to disperse the funds throughout the entire state of Illinois. What we'd like to see is some sort of guarantee from them amongst this partnership. Do I know if they'll grant that? I don't know. I'll ask. The way these applications work is we do have address points, to Alderman Cooper's point, that are high priorities. So on main corridors, those have been selected. I picked a couple, gave them to the state of Illinois, and I kept the rest for our application.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Not roll call, please.
Alderman York?
Yes.
Cooper?
Yes.
Pickering?
Yes.
Ludwig?
Yes.
Teague?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Streebing?
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Mr. Rui, items from information from you guys?
Yeah, so just real quick, we got a emergency repair that will be starting. So it was brought to my attention by a few complaints of residents, and then had our engineering staff go out and take a look. on Garfield Place, there's quite a few spots where the brick has really, I don't know, the base has failed so bad that the curb's way up out of the road and everything. So we quickly, I was hoping it was just going to be under 20 and no big deal. We went ahead and just got 3 quick quotes, one to see who was available contractor-wise, but also just to get quick pricing from them. So we picked the lowest price. We're going to be moving forward to get it going quick, just because they are pretty dangerous. There's a few spots along the curb where you could park and can't open the door because the curb is heaved so high. So anyway, just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. I don't remember the exact numbers. I was thinking it was around 40-ish.
About 43,000.
43, okay. So anyway, just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention that that's an emergency repair. We're going to go ahead and get moving on.
Alderman York, I just wanted to highlight your comments from last week have not come onto deaf ears. Administrator Allis and I will be working on a press release for the IDA rehab program here on Thursday.
Excellent. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. That puts us item number 17, Treasurer Chris Herron, 17A, June 20 through 23 through July 2023, Treasurer's Report. Chris?
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening. So attached in the packet here are those 2 reports that Chairman mentioned. And I put 2 in there this meeting to see how it goes, and hopefully next meeting, if this goes okay, then I'll add 3. We're just trying to get this caught up to be in the same, speed that Comptroller Sweeten's in. Also in my Treasurer's Report, I attended the Mid-American Pension Conference in Lincolnshire, Illinois last month with 3 of our firefighters, 2 police officers, and a pension board member. It's a 3-day conference discussing the issues resolving the fire and police pensions. Secondly, we had our 3rd quarter pension board meeting October 8th for Danville Fire and Police. All the financials were approved. All of the both boards were very appreciative of Comptroller Sweeten's attendance and being able to ask her some relevant questions pertaining to their pensions. Lastly, I'd like to talk briefly here about continuing progress that we're having on our bank reconciliation issue. After a little update, basically. After 1 year of having Martin Hood accounting firm assisting us with getting the bank reconciliation caught up from 2021, we are about ready to end their services for the city of Danville at this time. They have helped us make tremendous progress, and I know we wouldn't be this far along without the decision to hire them. As reported before, bank reconciliation has been completed in all the accounts for the most part to the bank rec module in our city software and to the bank statements. All the money is accounted for. However, the general ledger still has a variance compared to the bank rec module. That's the thing that we've been working on over this past year. Basically, the data seems to be missing, making the general ledger look like it has less money than the general account shows. And that is one of the things Martin Hood has been working on. In an effort to save money, because we are getting close to being through our budget here of having Martin Hood, in an effort to save money and continue to solve the problem, Comptroller Sweeten, the finance team, and the Treasurer's office have come up with an alternative option moving forward. This is the exciting news. Pat Owens, a longtime resident and CPA for Clifton Larson Allen for 25 years, has been retired for 10 months. She has agreed to work in the Treasurer's office 2 days a week to finish bringing our accounting to date. To stay within the Treasurer's office budget, Pat will be taking over Amy's hourly wage job of $35 an hour, and Amy will go back to the professional intern at $27.50 an hour. Amy will continue to do data processing, high-level accounting, and reconciliation of the other 9 accounts. I'd like to emphasize that Pat Owens is a certified CPA and very overqualified for this position. As a former employee of CLA, Pat understands the significance of this situation and how important it is going forward to have an accurate accounting of all of our accounts and a system in place to maintain that accuracy for the future. Our goal is very simple. Number one, find the variance between our bank rec module and general ledger. Number two, develop a system for bank reconciliation that is efficient and accurate for the future. Pat has done a tremendous amount of community service as an accountant for our community. Even though we are paying her for her service, this is nothing short of that community service. The mayor, comptroller Sweeten, and the treasurer's office have all expressed our gratitude to Pat Owens for her willingness to step up and help make the bank reconciliation complete and back on track at the levels it needs to be to serve our city. If you happen to know Pat, I would encourage you to reach out and thank her.
I've worked with Pat a lot over the years, in many capacities, and she knows her stuff. She's a hard worker, and quite frankly, she could be making 3 or 4 times this. So the fact that she's decided to come and help us out because she loves her community, I appreciate that. Now, I can't tell you that we will be able to keep her long-term at this amount, so there might be a time when the treasurer comes to you and says, hey, we need to reconsider, but I know already she's made progress, and I was just chatting with her the other day, and she said she had to learn how things were done, but she's already got some suggestions for us for improvements that I think will help us even more so. So I appreciate you, treasurer, and your team and comptroller and your team for everything you guys are doing to make sure we're square.
Yes, because it was a mess, a real mess.
Yes.
Anybody have any questions for our treasurer? Yes.
Well, first a comment. I'm also familiar with Pat Owens' work, so I'm excited about what the outcomes will be with her on board and joining the team. My question is, so through what period have we completed reconciliation?
So to the bank module, we've completed it all the way through June of 24.
Okay.
They're working on July of 23 right now.
July of 23.
23 or 24?
I'm sorry, they're working on July of 24 right now.
Okay.
Right.
And then how far back is this variance as it relates to the general ledger?
June 23.
Okay.
Where we are at right now on this report. And it's roughly $200,000, $190,000 I think it was. This is something that Ashland looked into for a long time in Martin Hood, and I mean, supposedly it's not supposed to be a big deal, but it's just, there's something missing that has not been processed onto the general ledger, and they're having a difficult time finding it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Heron? Well, I'd like to thank you and your office and finance for all your help getting this over the hill and getting it to where we can not worry about it anymore. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We feel like we're getting closer every month, and we're very excited about it.
Good. All right, put us number 18, closed session. I don't think there's any need for items of information, and let's go right to 20 committee members' comments. Anybody have anything? Yes.
I'd just like to thank all the people that helped make our cookout and movie night last Saturday night a success. We had over 100 people there. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, nobody else? All right. Filling everything on the agenda, I guess I need a motion and a second for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.